So, welcome everyone to our Study Abroad podcast series. So, today we have Pavitra from Taiwan, and we'll be knowing his journey from India to Taiwan. So, welcome Pavitra to our podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. So, Pavitra, when was the very first time you probably thought that you should maybe go abroad for some study or some exposure or something like that?
So, I made up my mind that I'll do my PhD very early, like during my bachelor's only. So I moved to IIT Mandi for my master's, and then I was more interested in the field of energy materials, specifically like in the field of batteries and supercapacitors. And if you must know that I think Asia is one of the leading countries which are working heavily on the energy materials, like let's say Japan and China. And so that very moment, I decided that I'll be doing something about applied chemistry, because I think Europe is mostly for the fundamental chemistry. But if you want to learn applied chemistry, like maybe photocatalysis or anything about which is direct application to the industrial benchmark, I think Asia should be the first option. So initially I wanted to move to Japan for my doctoral studies, but I think in Japan the culture, like inviting the foreign students for PhD programs especially, is not that much vast. So after that, I thought, because I think as Indians, I think we shouldn't go to China, because in China there are uh, lot of disbalance between our thinkings, and also I think not very comfortable for us. So I think after that, Taiwan should be the first choice, given that the status of the research and our R&D research in the semiconductors and the battery materials is going on very good here. So that's how I moved to Taiwan. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So, once you decided you will go to Taiwan, so you had to apply, there would be some application process,
Yes.
some recommendation letter, and maybe you have to write some GRE
Yes.
TOEFL kind of test. What was the requirements for your case?
Yeah. So for Taiwan, there is no such like English language requirement, because like no such requirement as in we don't need to have any certification courses like GRE and TOEFL as you mentioned, but we do need to present one, like how can you say, like maybe a formality certificate which can be issued from your university or your institute. So for my case, like IIT Mandi issued a certificate that okay, this student has done all his academic education in this medium of language, which is English. So he's eligible enough to perform his doctoral studies in the same medium. So that I submitted, and of course, like for moving to Taiwan, we have some kind of formalities. Let's say visa. So usually I have heard like there are two main centers if you want to apply for a Taiwan visa. So for the northern part, if you have your education or if you have your latest degree in the northern part of the India, then you need to maybe go to Delhi. And if you have your degree in the southern part of the India, then you must go to Chennai. And I think in Chennai, this process is much faster compared to Delhi for some reasons I don't know. But I did all my formalities in Delhi, and we need to have some, like, it's been 3 years, so I have a fade memory, but I can still remember that there need to be a lot of stamps, a lot of signatures from the government officials. And yeah, that's how the visa process in Taiwan I completed.
You have to go through some medical test also for the visa
Oh
initially.
yeah, I forgot to mention. We need to have some medical test also. In the medical test, I remember they perform like they have some designated medical centers or hospitals, and you are allowed to do your medical certification only from those listed clinics or hospitals, whatever. And there are some tests, like they take your X-ray, your blood test, and all those small tests, and also they have two or three, I think, two or three vaccination formalities also. So we
Sure.
need to get those vaccines in order to get the medical approval.
And how much time did your visa take, like in your case?
My visa took, I think, 10 days. Yeah, I think it took around 10 days, or I think 2 weeks. Yeah.
Okay, okay, sure. And which flight did you choose for your initial landing in Taiwan?
Yeah, okay. So, like as I mentioned, that time was the COVID period. So usually the flight from India to Taiwan is it's kind of not that expensive, and we used to have a direct flight previously before the COVID time, which was mainly from the Thai Airways, or you can say China Airways. after the COVID, like we needed to go via Dubai. So that time the flights were quite expensive because we needed to en route to Dubai, then have a halt there, and then from Dubai we had a flight to Taiwan. So I went through Emirates, but we have some cheaper options also.
And did you have to do any quarantine kind of thing like in Taiwan once you
Yeah,
land there?
yeah. So once I landed, like we had a quarantine of 14 days mandatory, and after the end of the 14-day quarantine, we were supposed to undergo a COVID check. So if you're negative, then you're allowed to enter the university, and if you're positive, then you need to maybe stay in the hospital or have an extended quarantine.
Sure, sure. And once you landed in Taiwan, did you book your accommodation? Did you book it in advance, or you went there and you found something?
So like by the time of the admission, like they assigned a student dormitory to us. So after I came here, I already had a dorm room on my name. But yeah, like once you are discharged from the quarantine, they can facilitate you towards the dormitory, and they will guide you everything. But how can you exit from the hotel where you are undergoing your quarantine, and they will probably send a cab to pick you up, and they will like guide you towards the dormitory room, tell you the formalities you need to complete, and the process is quite easy.
And once you landed in Taiwan, this was like your first foreign flight, or you took any flight before as well?
No, it was my first foreign flight. Yes.
So were you a bit nervous when you landed, or like on the way, etc., that you had to like communication problem,
uh, Not
accent
I
problem?
was yeah, accent. I don't think accent problem was an issue, but I think yes, a bit nervous or also a bit excited because that was my first, not only first foreign flight, actually also a first domestic flight, because in India I never got a chance to travel because what wherever I go I could use either like car or bus. So I never got a chance to have a plane to travel in India. But yeah, this was my first flight also, not only international. And after I arrived here, it was a bit nervous because like in a new country where you knew very less, and you need to communicate with the officials, and also because when you come for an official stay or like I can say educational stay, you need to follow some kind of guidelines. So it was a bit nervous, but yeah, everything was quite smooth down there.
Sure, sure. How was your food adjustment? Like, were you having any issues in adjusting to the new food
Yeah, food,
environment?
like I thought, yeah, I thought that it would be a, I thought initially I thought it would be a bigger problem, but I think in Taiwan, the food options are quite good actually. Even if you are a vegetarian, you can have a ample number of food options available, and also Indian options also a lot of available here. So I think the food is not that problem, because I think I heard about like countries like Korea, Japan, and China. So there they have a lot of issues with the food, especially. But I think in Taiwan that part is quite good, because you whatever you can like the choice, if you want to eat meat, so you have ample number of meat options. You can go for like beef or whatever, chicken, or like yeah, something like this. So I think food was not that issue.
And you probably got some scholarship for your PhD.
Yeah, so like I got a doctoral scholarship under which my tuition fee, my tuition fee was waived, and some kind of monthly stipend to ensure my survival in Taiwan, like to support my day-to-day expenditures. Yeah.
So how do you compare this scholarship to like other countries and all? Like, do you have any
Yeah.
contact with
So
them?
I yeah, yep, okay. So I think the money part, I think that is the only drawback of doing your doctoral studies in Asian countries, not only in Taiwan. I think in all the Asian countries, because I think the work culture here is very very different from the other countries. They believe that you need to work like, I think like working here 12 hours a day or more than 12 hours a day. It's quite normal. We don't have fixed working hours. We stay like more than 12 hours or 14 hours in the lab, and your supervisor or your boss can call you anytime. So there is no, like, how to say, like, work to
Like
life balance.
work-life balance.
So work life balance, that is not you. If you're looking for a smoother life, you better move to Europe or somewhere else. But I think if you want to come to Asia, you will have a very different experience in terms of working culture. So that's why I say that they don't believe in these kind of things like work life balance, pay scale. and those things. So yeah, if you compare it to other countries, it's not that good. So I always say to my friends, like, if you want to earn a lot of money, like I have seen that in India, the culture of PhD, uh, especially for doing abroad, is been into two directions. One of them is like, okay, you want to go for a PhD, you want to study something new, that's okay. And most of them, they go to abroad to earn a decent amount of money so that they can also complete their PhD and have a fruitful amount of saving to send to the family and all. But in Asia, I think it's quite hard. If you want to come here, you should be knowing beforehand that it's should be purely about learning something, or maybe learning a new technology, or like settling there for a job. But during your PhD, I think the stipend is quite lower compared to the European countries, especially.
So, like, if somebody wants to save and send back to family, maybe Asian countries probably are not the correct destination for them
Yeah,
for PhD.
yeah, I don't think so. Like, yeah, as I said, if you're really determined that, okay, I want to study this specific field, and I want to study under this specific professor or a scientist, whatever, and that's why I want to move to Japan or Korea or Taiwan. I think money should not be your first like criteria
Objective.
to deciding. Yeah, the first objective. And once you, like, during your doctoral studies, the money is not that good, but if you are able to bag a job here, then the money is quite good, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure, sure. Yeah, yeah. So government might be supporting a lot of research, etc., but for the student side, they may not have much of a,
Yeah,
extra
yes,
fund.
yes.
Sure. And once you got this scholarship and all this everything, did you also think about like applying to other colleges or something that time, or it was like okay that Taiwan is the only place for me?
No, I never had a second doubt. Not that I'm not saying like this is the best one, but I believe that like once you landed up at some place, and like ultimately I wanted to earn a PhD degree, and like how to say, fortunately I got a decent university like NTU. I choose because in Taiwan also it's the best, and also if we are coming from India, I think a university under QS 100 rankings is good enough for us. And yeah, that's why I never had a second thought, and I wanted to, like, I believe time is very important. So, and during, especially during the COVID time, getting any position was, I don't know why,
Yeah,
it became a lot harder than it was previous. So I thought that, okay, I already got a position, I already got a good university, so just let's focus here and do not waste my time, because I wanted to make the most out of my time to get a PhD at time. Because like I in during the whole, like, from the bachelor's to the master's, I didn't had a gap year, and I needed to take that advantage of a decent age. Like, now I'm 26. So if I'm able to bag my PhD at 27, I think that's quite good. Instead of wasting my 1 year or 1.5 years thinking of something better.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure, sure, sure. And you were in touch with your professor, your supervisor, from like application time itself, or you chose that after coming there?
No, I was in touch with my supervisor before moving here, because initially I wrote an email to a lot of professors, and then I could like I if I would say I remember I wrote around 1,000 emails around all the countries, like let's say Japan, China, like all the countries which I wanted to go, like mostly Asian countries, and also some of the European countries which focused on the battery research. And out of that 1,000, I only got a reply from 10, and out of that 10, I could only eligible for interview for like maybe 5 or 6. So out of that 5 or 6, I got 3 positions. Out of that 3, I chose this one position.
Oh, so it was like a funnel kind of thing, right? So you
Yeah, like
applied to like
I've
thousand
seen
places.
that. Yeah, I've seen that recently. Like, students want to go abroad, but they get exhausted or they get tired very easily. Like, they write like 10, 20 emails, and they say, oh, I'm not getting any response, I think it's a waste of time. But it's a very competitive process. Like, you should understand that already in India we have a lot of population, and as an international student, like, we are trying to be a foreigner student in some other country. So always in some country, the foreigner seats are very limited. So you should understand that the competition is very high, and you need to be resilient in terms of writing emails. Like, keep writing emails, and definitely you will get response. And once you get a response, you make sure that you do well in the interview, so that the recruiter takes you. Yeah.
So your supervisor took your interview, like a video call interview, etc.
Yeah,
To
yeah, yeah. Like it was kind of a two-round interview. I would say the first round was not that, like, it was just kind of an introductory, like what have I done till now and what I want to do, what are my research interests and all. And the second round was quite competitive. Like they had some questions and they have some problem solving skills.
yeah, sure. And once you reach there, like in your apartment, you had to do the cleaning and laundry, etc. by yourself, or you had any problems there?
Like okay, so like initially my 1 year, like I lived in a student dormitory, and after 1 year I moved out. I took a separate room, so now I live in a separate room here. And like if you compare, like, so NTU is in Taipei. If you know, like Taipei is the capital of Taiwan, and Taipei is like very expensive city. Like of course it's the capital city and very well connected, and the accessibility and the everything is very great here actually. So if you want to compare Taipei, you can say that it is kind of a Bangalore in India. Like everything is thrice or double the price it should be. So yeah, once you move in a room, I think it's you don't need to clean it by yourself. Your owner or your landlady or your landlord, which whom you contacted, I think he or she will clean it up for you. And later when you move in, I think you just need to keep the room clean. And yeah.
Sure. And this cooking part, like, do you do your own cooking or you had any like mess facility kind of thing?
No, actually, I do my own cooking when I get chance to. But as I said, the food is not a problem here. Like there are a lot of options. Like you want to eat Indian, you will find like 10 or 20 Indian restaurants around the university. You want to eat any other delicacies, like maybe the Taiwanese food, the Mexican, like whatever you want to have, you can get here. But whenever I get time, I choose to cook my food, like probably during weekends. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, sure. And your accommodation and your like college is like nearby, or you have to take some commute, like bus or train or something?
No, I live quite nearby. Like I live around, maybe you can say 500 meters from the university campus. But like yeah, as I said, like if you wanna move out of the student dormitory and you wanna find a room for yourself, so first of all, because you are a foreigner, finding a room for yourself will be a little bit difficult compared to the Taiwanese people. And so if you find a room, like, yeah, it may be possible that the room might be like maybe 5 or 10 kilometers from the university. So for that also there are like bus, probably, like of course cabs. Students don't prefer to take cabs every day, otherwise it will be a lot of money. But yeah, there are metro options like we have in India, and there are also regular buses which we can take on our route here.
Yeah, yeah, sure. And so this was a conscious decision by yourself, right? That you want to live close to campus.
Yeah, of course. I think like because being a PhD student, it sometimes uh, it it is quite possible that you might to go for an urgent meeting or an urgent work for in the lab. And I think if you live quite far, then that might not be always the good choice, or like it's not always possible to go back in the lab late at night or something. But when you live nearby, you can go also late at night and any time of the day you want. Yeah. So I think living nearby is quite good.
And you have like this office or like 5 days a week or 6 days a week, anything like that?
Yeah, as I said, for me, I think I come 7 days a week and I stay like 12 hours a day in the lab. So as I said, like work-life balance, like already I told all my friends, if you're looking for a easygoing life, never come to any Asian countries like Japan, especially Japan and Taiwan.
Sure, sure, sure. And you have been there for like 3 years almost, right? So
Yep,
you
yep,
have like, what about the Indian crowd in Taiwan? Like, do you make friends like in your college, etc.? What kind of do you
yeah.
have some activity clubs of Indians kind of thing?
Yeah, so Indians, like there are also quite a large number of Indians here in Taiwan, and specifically talking about National Taiwan University, there are also a decent number of Indian students, and there are also like, and the Indian students are also have like a variety. Like there are master students, there are doctoral students, and there are also postdoctoral candidates. And there is also a society for like a foreigner society, and also a specifically individually society of Indian students. and all the foreigner students studying here, they have their own cultural things, and they have their own society. And like just now, I think few days back there was Janmashtami, right? I think yes, day before yesterday. So we celebrated Janmashtami here. We have a Indian board of committee which makes sure that every festival is being celebrated, and all the religious formalities are being done in the right way. So yeah, there is quite frequent gathering of the Indian students.
What about the education system of India versus Taiwan from your understanding?
Uh, I think the education system is quite different in, like, let's say if you want to compare the elementary education, like let's say from your class 1 to 12th class 12th. So in India it's very different, and here in Taiwan it's completely different. I think here in Taiwan they focus more on problem solving ability rather than taking exams and taking quizzes every, like almost like they're like in India. I remember when I was in my school time, we had major exams like during 10th or 12th, but here I've seen that people rely more on problem solving ability, and also learning from the environment, like what is happening in the real time. And they have brainstorming sessions, kind of these sense. The education in India is a little bit different, but yeah, like I think Indians are also because in Taiwan, if you see, or I think in anywhere, uh, there is a high demand of Indian students. I don't know why, for some reason, maybe because of our working ethics, or I think we are hardworking, and if a job is assigned to us, I think we make sure that we give our 100% to that. So in that sense, us also their being in the country, but I think some things in India are a little bit can be improved compared to Taiwan.
Sure, sure, sure. And what are your goals for the next few years? What do you want to do in future?
So my plan is to come back to India. I would definitely want to come back to India and enter into Indian academic scene. Like I wanna enter into the NITs or IITs or also central universities. I wanna be a part of the academic institution. Like let's say I wanna get into actually faculty position. So for that reason, I think because there is also a norm or also a kind of prejudice in India, like if you want to get into an academic position, you need to have an experience of a few years in the US. So I actually don't wanna move to US for some kind of experience, but I think I have to. If I get the chance, I will go to US, gather some experience there for my postdoc after I finish my PhD here, and then definitely I would like not I would like to I would definitely want to come back to India to serve, because I don't want to stay abroad. I think it looks very good that okay, staying in abroad must be a good life, but I think if you are an Indian, if you would definitely want to stay in India. Yeah, so that's my choice, I think.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. I mean, you want to maybe gain experience here and there, like
Yep.
a bit in Taiwan, then bit in US or Europe,
Yes.
maybe doing your
Yes.
postdocs, few postdocs for few years, maybe, and then eventually you want to come back to India to serve the academic side.
Yeah,
And
that I would love to actually, like I would love to, even if I'm not even if I'm not able to get into an academic position. I think the research and development industrial sector is also kind of booming in India. I've been seeing in the news and all, and especially there is a lot of collaborations going on between Taiwan and India regarding the setup and development of the semiconductor chips and also the R&D of EVs, I've heard. So in that sense also Taiwan is heavily investing in India. So if I get a chance, I would definitely come and join India, like because my background and my research work is based on solid state batteries, which has a direct application in the EV sector. So I would definitely love to work for companies like maybe Ola Electric, and also I've heard of a company Log9, which is doing quite good in the energy sector. So I would love to be a part of them.
you are active on LinkedIn and like approaching these companies or like professors or like other research groups, etc., like to connect to them and know about them.
Yeah, I'm active on LinkedIn quite. Yeah, I'm actually quite active on LinkedIn, and I've whenever I get a chance, I join the online webinars in which the I have seen that uh, a lot of independent research institutions and also a lot of companies, they host these frequent webinars on some specific topic, uh, like I think 2 or 3 times in a year. So whenever I get a time, I join. But right now, I'm not actively approaching any specific uh, like specific professor for a possible R&D or possible postdoc position. I think first I want to focus on my PhD, and later when I have my PhD degree, I think then I will start, or maybe you can say near the end of my PhD degree, I will start approaching the professors in some other universities to talk for a possible collaboration or for a possible postdoctoral position. But as of now, I'm not approaching them. Yeah,
But you might have gone to some conferences, like presented some paper, conference,
yeah,
abstract.
yeah.
You may have
Yep.
met some people there itself.
Yeah, like I think I think the concept of meeting people at the conferences is quite good, and by through that we are able to build a lot of new connections, and also able to get to know a lot of new people, which can be a possible collaborator for our future, like even in the same field. So yeah, I had a chance, but I think because like if you say like international conferences, most of the people who come to the conference are like kind of big shots or the big guys in their field, and of course everybody wants to be a part of their team, so everybody approaches them. And I think if you are a senior PhD guy who is about to graduate, then it's a good thing. But if you are a new guy or a fresh face, and you still know that there is still quite time left for you to stay here to complete your PhD, so I think it's good, but depends on which stage of your PhD you are in. Like if I'm in my second year or first year, I think it would not be a very good option to approach a guy so early, because he might forget about you in some time. But if you are about to graduate, you might let him know that okay, I'm looking for some kind of positions, and you already saw my work, and this is my academic achievement. So if you're interested, please, we can have a interview or we can have a discussion together. So yeah, depends.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. Of course, I mean, conference is there for networking and also probably
Yep.
future prospective employer or supervisor, etc. And I think maybe some supervisors might be fighting for some students also at times.
Yeah, lucky.
Yeah. So, okay, coming to the very last question, Pavitra. So, what will be some pro tips for the juniors who might be considering your college or Taiwan as a study abroad destination? So, some things, some special things that you want to tell them, which maybe you didn't know or you discovered after coming there, which they should know.
I think the weather here is quite good. Like like during the summer it's not too hot, and during the winter it's not too cold. But the only thing is, which I don't like personally, it's like it rains a lot. Like almost half of the year it rains. Quite frequent rains are here. Also, earthquakes are quite frequent here in this tectonic region. I think earthquakes are very frequent. So also my first time when I experienced an earthquake, I was in Taiwan. I never experienced an earthquake in India, but the very first day I landed in Taiwan, they had an earthquake of magnitude 7, and I was very surprised to see that an earthquake of magnitude 7 could have could have caused a havoc. But I think the Taiwanese people are quite used to it, and they were like, "Oh, it's okay, it's normal, it's like nothing." And the buildings here and the architecture is very solid, and they believe in that their structures, right, they like there is hardly any damage. So yeah, these things are quite common: rainfall, earthquakes. And talking about the job settlement and your day-to-day life, I think as I also previously said in the podcast, like you should be a little bit prepared mentally, definitely, because the supervisors here are very orthodox in their mentality. They they will like not give you anything in the easy way. They will always want you to they always want to extract like more than 100% from you. And if you are willing to give everything, and if you are willing to learn, because technology here is really very good, and if you are in the field of the applied sciences and the R&D of of the next generation, like let's say semiconductors or batteries, I think it's a very good place to have your education. But you should be a little bit prepared for the mental torture you will be getting. Definitely doesn't matter if you're masters or a PhD, the amount of pressure is same here, I think. So that is the only thing I think, which also again depends on the individual. It could be quite good for some people, and it could be quite worrying for some people. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. Thank you very much for all your insights and knowledge about Taiwan and uh, Taiwan University in particular. So I hope we hope some of our students will learn something from this, and maybe some of them might contact you through LinkedIn. once we will be
Okay.
putting this recording on YouTube and LinkedIn. So feel free to help them out if you are free, or reject them
Yes,
also.
sure.
Just like you are rejected with 1,000 emails.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
They all need to learn the art of rejection as well. So I think
Yes,
everyone needs to
you
go through
you need to
that.
you need to embrace. I think you need to embrace it. If you get something easy, I think you don't value it enough, and you should know that it's very hard to get into these kind of universities.
Correct, correct, correct. Okay, okay, Pavitra. Nice talking to you. So thank you
Thank you.
very much for
Thank you,
your
sir.
time. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye. Thank you.